king handing over the crown to the ordinary people. So, to sum up, Acemoglu, Johnson, and Robinson have both made an empirical and a theoretical contribution that has hugely impacted on later research in these fields. On the theoretical side, they have given us much better understanding for how institutions are formed, that is, how they, why they persist, and under what circumstances they sometimes change. And on the empirical side, they have shown this huge impact of institutions on prosperity. And although they don't provide any simple recipes or have any concrete policy proposals, this of course also has huge societal impact. To just mention one, their insights show us that work on promoting democracy, more inclusive institutions, is an important way forward for promoting economic development and closing the world income gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Theorell. I believe we might have Professor Daron Acemoglu online here. Are you with us, Professor Acemoglu?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, and please accept our warmest congratulations.
Thank you. I am delighted. It's just a real shock and amazing news. Thank you.
Yeah, so you feel okay right now?
I am completely fine, yes.
Yeah. Here at the press conference, I believe we have many interested journalists, both from Sweden and from the international press. Would you be ready to take some questions from them?
Of course, I would be delighted.
Okay. Who would like to start? Yes, please.
Hello, this is Bogomir Radajewski from the Polish television. Congratulations, Professor.
Thank you.
What I'm wondering and what I wanted to ask, because at first glance you could see the results of your work and your research as a simple recommendation that democracy means economic growth. Is it really that simple? And how, in that regard, would you explain countries like China, who are not democracies, yet they have experienced tremendous economic growth in the past decades? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think broadly speaking, the work that we have done favors democracy. And in follow-up work that I have done with Pasquale Restrepo, Suresh Naidu, and James Robinson, we specifically look at the democracy problem as well and find that countries that democratize, starting from a non-democratic regime, do ultimately grow in about 8-9 years faster than non-democratic regimes, and it's a substantial gain. But democracy is not a panacea. Introducing democracy is very hard. When you introduce elections, that sometimes creates conflict, and in particular, in already polarized societies, elections can lead to short-lived outcomes that are sometimes not democratic in nature, in the sense that one party gains power and in an authoritarian way implements things. And there are pathways via which non-democratic countries can actually grow. It's something that James Robinson and I have emphasized a lot in our book, Why Nations Fail, what we call extractive growth. Countries can put resources, rapidly mobilize resources for their existing sectors, existing firms, and that can lead to a pickup in growth. But our argument has been that this sort of authoritarian growth is often more unstable and doesn't generally lead to very rapid and original innovation. And of course, China is a bit of a challenge because it has recently started pouring a lot of investment and other resources into some sectors such as AI. But I think my perspective is generally that these authoritarian regimes, for a variety of reasons, are going to have a harder time in achieving sort of long-term sustainable innovation outcomes.
More questions? Maybe I can ask a question. What was your personal reaction when we reached you on phone?
Oh, well, surprise and shock. But, this is a real good coincidence in the sense that I'm in Athens right now, so it's not 5 o'clock in the morning for me. It's 1 hour ahead of your time. So it was easier to absorb than it might have been if I was in my usual place.
Yeah. So you are in Athens now?
Yes, and I'm in Athens, Greece, correct.
Yes, please.
Professor Ashimoglu, my name is Marcus Carlson Boriu. I'm from the Swedish broadcaster TV4. I was just wondering if you could explain to a layperson very, very simply what your research is about and what you have achieved through your research.
Well, I think the Nobel Committee gave a better summary than I can, but I think the most broad framing of some of the research that was cited there is we try to trace the roots of certain institutional trajectories to the colonial past. And rather than asking whether colonialism is good or bad, we note that different colonial strategies have led to different institutional patterns that have persisted over time. And then we trace those institutional choices that Europeans have made to a variety of factors, but quite importantly to these environments that determine whether Europeans settled, what types of colonization resources they brought in, and what kind of strategies they adopted. And those persistent effects led to a real institutional divergence throughout the last 500 years. And then we are able to trace out some of the consequences of these institutional historical outcomes.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for that. It's Marcus Carlson Boriu again. I'm just wondering, your name has been in the mix quite a lot throughout recent years when it comes to the economics prize. Were you doubting that this prize would come?
You never expect something like this. You know, I think was it Napoleon who said, you know, when you go into officer cadet school, you dream of becoming a general, but not a president or king. So, you know, you dream of having a good career, but this is over and on top of that. So it's a great surprise and honor.
Okay, this seems to be the last question from the press for you, Professor Ashimoglu.
Thank you.
Oh, or was there one more? Yeah, sorry, one more, please.
Of course.
I think it was actually there in the back.
Thank you. Congratulations, Professor. Paul Rees from Al Jazeera
Thank you.
English. Could you just sort of clarify again, in terms of a before and after state, why colonialism is such a good test for this?
Well, I think it's not that there is anything in the nature of colonialism that makes it sort of a good test. But what colonialism did was it transformed the institutions, the organization of many societies around the world, starting sometime around 1500. And these were both different outcomes within the colonial world. And because they were so deeply affecting the organization of these societies, they had very persistent effects. So in some sense, to us, colonialism is interesting in and of itself. It's one of the most significant things, but it was also a natural experiment that divided the world into very different institutional trajectories.
Was it some more there? Yeah, please.
Yes, hello. This is Carl-Johan Fonset from the Swedish daily Dagens Nyheter. Congratulations, Professor Ashimoglu.
Thank you.
Can you comment on how you assess the current quality and current trajectory of institutions in the world, if you look at your current home country, the United States, or other countries in the world right now?
Well, I mean, I think this is actually another topic that I am researching, and it's fascinating but worrying. If you look at data that international organizations such as Freedom House, VDEM, or others collect, they see that institutions everywhere, including in the United States, including some European countries, and in many parts of the emerging world, are getting weaker and weaker. If you look at data from surveys that ask people their views about authoritarianism, dictatorship, democracy, and so on, you see that that support for democracy among the population is at an all-time low. So that suggests that despite the potential for democracy to spearhead rapid growth and consensus around difficult choices, we are not probably achieving that full potential. And in fact, my evidence also suggests that the democracies particularly underperform when the population thinks that they underdeliver. They don't rise up to their promises in terms of providing good governance, control corruption, limit inequality, create shared poverty, shared prosperity, and so on. So I think this is a time when democracies are going through a rough patch, and it is, in some sense, quite crucial that they reclaim the high ground of better governance, cleaner governance, and delivering sort of the promise of democracy to a broad range of people.
Thank you.
No, I don't see any more questions. Again, thank you very much, Professor Acemoglu, and again, our warmest congratulations. We look forward to see you here in Stockholm in December for the Nobel Prize ceremony.
Thank you very much. I am looking forward to that as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let's move on. If there are questions about the prize in economic sciences or the research involved to the committee, and again, you can ask questions in Swedish or in English. Please. I see no questions. So then we end here. Thank you for attending, and look forward to see you then when we have press conferences in December with the laureates present here. Thank you.
Professor Jan Tyrell, member of the Committee for the Economic Sciences Prize. Please tell us, what is this year's Economics Prize about?
So it's about what explains differences in prosperity between countries, and that an important reason for this is what the laureates call institutions, society.